Well, hi, this is Gail, the Palm Plant Girl. Sorry for the wiggling and jiggling of my camera. This is the first time I've done Google Hangouts with the broadcast. And today we're going to be talking about pond algae. Well, that's really weird with my glasses, but I can't see a thing without them. It's so weird. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I'm going to say some things that you probably don't want to hear, and that is algae is normal. And like with any garden, like if you have a flower garden in your yard or a vegetable garden, anything like that, you will need to weed your garden. You get dandelions or whatever kind of weeds you have in your garden. You need to pull it. Same thing with a pond. Ponds need maintenance. If you get algae, you need to pull it like it's a weed. Now, I'm not talking about like big ponds, like acreage ponds. I'm talking like the kind of ponds that I have, the kiddie pool ponds, the swimming pool size ponds. You can have all the plant coverage that you want to try to block the UV rays that cause the summer heat that cause the algae bloom. But a good point to keep in mind, if you have fish, especially too many fish, if you have fish and you overfeed them, you will have a big problem, not only with fish poop and sludge, but with algae bloom, because the algae loves feeding on the fish poop. And if you have goldfish in your pond, you really don't need to feed them at all. You can feed them maybe once a week, but they'll eat whatever you throw in there, or whatever falls in there rather. You don't really need to feed them. I know it's fun. They come up and they're like nibbling, and you get to see them. They get friendly, but you need to decide: do I love my fish more, or do I love my pond more? I had a customer once, I took care of his pond. He had a swimming pool size pond, and he would feed his fish. He had goldfish. He'd feed them twice a day. And I would come in the middle of the day, and there would still be food floating on the water surface. Of course, the excess food that the fish don't eat, that falls down, turns into mushy muck, and also feeds the algae. He overfed his fish, and when you overfeed fish, they overpopulate. You get more of that nasty stuff in the water, which feeds the algae. So you really need to think about how you're treating your fish, because that's a big problem. Okay, so let's say you don't have a whole lot of fish and you don't feed your fish, but you still have a lot of algae. Other causes for algae in your pond can be from over-fertilizing your plants. And then that's easy to do. You've got to give some of your plants a lot of fertilizer if they're going to bloom. And that's a balance that you need to try to deal with. It's important to use aquatic plant fertilizer, a high quality aquatic plant fertilizer, if you don't want the algae bloom. If you have a big problem with algae bloom and you think you're doing everything right, I would suggest that you cover your pond with a shade cloth. You could buy shade cloth online at a shade cloth store. They'll cut it to size, put grommets in it. It's not that expensive. It's costly, but not that expensive depending on what size you need. And I've done it several times. And it's the nursery shade cloth. Like if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you'll see that the shade cloth over the nursery. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the kind of shade cloth you can buy at the hardware store, because that's 75% shade. That's not going to let in enough light for your water lilies and other plants to bloom. So what you will need to do is, the only place you can really get it, excuse me, the only place you could really get a nursery shade cloth at like between 25 and 40% shade filtration of the sunlight is at the shade cloth store online. And Like I said, I've used it several times. It works great. Your plants will grow great, and it'll block out that, it'll filter out the sunlight that causes the algae bloom. And so I highly recommend that. So let's say you can't hang a shade cloth for some reason. Your next choice is pond dye. You can get it like in dark blue or even black. And that is safe for your pond. It's safe for your fish. And it colors the water. And that will block the algae bloom as well. Those are some helpful tips for you. I hope you find them helpful. I know it's not necessarily what you want to hear, but you will end up with a very beautiful garden if you cut down the feeding of your fish drastically. Try a shade cloth. Try pond dye. Check to see if you have too much fertilizer in your plants. And keep in mind, no matter how many plants you have, whether it's hyacinth, water lilies, water lettuce, it's covering the water surface. You could have as many oxygenator water clarifiers as you want, and you're still going to have algae. It's not the solution. It really isn't. It helps, but it's not the solution. You really need to nip the problem in the bud, not just cover it up with like a Band-Aid, which I'm talking about plants. Plants are not going to take care of a huge algae problem. Let's say your pond is just loaded with this stuff. You got to pull it out. You have to pull it out. You have to scrub down your pond. Empty it twice a season at least. Not empty all the way, like halfway, and then put in fresh water. But let's say you take care of that, you empty, you scrub and stuff like that. If you don't take care of the problem that's causing the algae in the first place, all the water changes in the world aren't going to help your pond. You need to take care of what's causing it, whether it's the fish, whether you have water runoff from an adjacent field that has too much fertilizer in it and the chemicals are getting in your pond and causing the algae bloom. The problem needs to be you need to find the source of the problem to take care of the algae. Well, I'm Gail, the Pond Plant Girl. I hope you found this helpful, and we'll try this again. We'll try this again soon. And I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions, please always feel free to email me at Gail, Gail, at pondplantgirl.com. I'm going to be doing more podcasts, so watch for my posts on Facebook and here on Google Hangouts. I don't quite know all these little functions all over the screen, and so I'm figuring that out. Hey, you have an awesome day. I'm just going to be hanging out inside because it's raining cats and dogs outside. You have a great day. Hey, keep on being you. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.